Right now,
We'll tackle tough times in California.
Economic troubles facing San Diego will be the focus of Mayor Jerry Sanders' annual State of the City
reports a 60% hike in rapes where either one or both people.
UCLA researchers tracked the progress of 50 sarcoma patients using
From the KPBS studios, this is San Diego Week.
Good evening, I'm Peggy Pico. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, libraries and rec centers took a big hit in Mayor Jerry Sanders' new budget. We'll do the numbers. And a San Diego art dealer finds himself in the middle of an international art heist. Plus, a USD former hoop star was indicted in a betting scam. We'll explain how point shaving works. Then you'll get a rare view from the flight deck of the World War II-era B-17 Flying Fortress. And UCSD is looking for more brains, but it's not students they want for their gray matter observatory. Those stories are coming up right now on San Diego Week, but first, the headlines. Eric Anderson joins us from the KPBS News Center. Eric?
Peggy, a new report estimates that half the meat and poultry sold in supermarkets may be tainted with the staph germ. That estimate is based on 136 samples of beef, chicken, pork, and turkey bought in Los Angeles and other big cities. Half the contaminated samples had a form of bacteria resistant to at least 3 kinds of antibiotics. President Barack Obama rallied support for his budget-cutting initiatives this week. The president is also striking out at Republican proposals to change Medicare.
I will not allow Medicare to become a voucher program that leaves seniors at the mercy of the insurance industry, with a shrinking benefit to pay for rising costs.
House Majority Leader Eric Cantor has roundly criticized the president's budget plan. Cantor will be in San Diego on Monday. The president of the University of San Diego says the point-shaving allegations involving her school's basketball team will not tarnish USD's commitment to integrity and ethics. Mary Lyons says the incident is an aberration. Prosecutors charged 10 people in connection with the sports bribery scheme, including 2 former players and a former assistant coach. You can see all of the week's top stories on our website, kpbs.org.
Mayor Jerry Sanders is proposing to close San Diego's nearly $57 million deficit through service cuts and one-time fixes. His budget proposal calls for severe cuts to libraries and recreation centers. KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr has been covering the story, and she joins us now with the details. Welcome, Katie.
Thanks, Peggy.
So I guess the biggest question on our mind is, what does the mayor propose for his 2012 budget?
Well, like you said, he's using a combination of one-time cuts and service cuts to close the deficit. One-time cuts are those like not contributing to the city's reserve fund this year. The ongoing cuts are eliminating city-wide positions. Most of them are vacant already. Among those are 20 sworn police officer positions. He's also doing things like eliminating the beachside fire rings that San Diegans have loved, but that were threatened last year as well. He is also, perhaps most controversially, proposing to cut in half the hours for city recreation centers and libraries. And for instance, libraries would only be open 2 days a week and on alternating Saturdays. But the mayor points out that his budget also makes the full pension payment for the city and works towards closing the city's what they call the structural budget deficit. The city spends more money than it takes in, and he says this budget takes care of about half of that.
And what is the city council's reaction so far to this?
Well, the city council members who were with him when he presented his budget to the media praised the mayor for incorporating some of their ideas, also talked a lot about compromise, but there was clearly a divide, most clearly on the libraries and recreation centers. Councilman Carl DeMaio, Kevin Faulkner, and Todd Gloria have already said they don't see these cuts going through. They're not something they really support, and we spoke with Todd Gloria about that.
Well, they're devastating. I mean, they are devastating to neighborhoods. You know, our libraries, our parks, and our rec centers are, some of the hallmarks of quality of life in our city, and they are essentially being proposed for browning them out. If they're not open, they're closed, and most of them will be closed most of the time.
Now, you heard him use that phrase, browning out. That's the phrase that was associated with the fire engine service cuts we saw last year, and people, the phrase was, oh, end the brownouts, end the brownouts. So by associating that phrase with libraries and rec centers, he's hoping people will say, end those brownouts as well.
And there's another portion to this, the revenue generation. What about that? Is there discussion about that in the budget? What are we talking about as far as revenue generation?
San Diego is always looking for ways to increase its revenue. It's well known the city doesn't take in enough revenue, as I mentioned earlier. This year, they did see slight upticks in sales tax and hotel tax, but the big one, property tax, which generates most of the city's revenue, is still down. They really just have to wait for the economy to recover on that one. In the meantime, they are considering things like charging for false alarm fees for the fire department, doing other things, charging more hotel fees, looking at what they call cost recovery to try and generate money that way. But again, those are controversial as well. There are council members who say, I'm not going to vote for any fee increase while the economy is in the state that it's in.
Absolutely. It seems to be a discussion on both the federal, the local, the state. I mean, everywhere you go on that one. So we talked about the property taxes down. Not much they can do on that. When will this budget be approved, or when does it need to be approved?
Well, the mayor will present the budget formally to the council on Monday. From there, the city council's independent budget analyst will take it, and her office will do an in-depth review of the budget for about 2 weeks. The city council will then go through it department by department, and that begins on May 4th. So this is a months-long process, really drawn out. The fiscal year starts in July. So between now and then, we'll hammer out some sort of budget for the city.
And do you think, just real briefly, we have a little tiny bit of time, do you think that it will get approved? There's no risk of it not being approved?
Oh, no, definitely some form of the budget will be approved, whether it has all of the mayor's suggestions, all of the council's suggestions, likely a combination of the two. That's what they're doing now. They're going to form the final budget, but something will definitely get approved.
All right. Thank you, Katie, very much for that update.
Thank
you.
you.
Look forward to it. UCSD Medical School is looking for a few good brains. Over the next decade, the school's Brain Observatory is hoping 1,000 San Diegans will donate their brains for scientific research. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg says the goal of the project is to digitize the brains and share the images with researchers all over the world.
Some people collect stamps, old coins, or works of art. Jacopo Anese collects brains.
So here we have a refrigerator, and it contains the brains of our participants. And it's now these are individuals who have willed, when they were in life, they willed their brains to research.
Jacopo Anese is the director of UCSD's Brain Observatory. We're inside his laboratory, where people's brains are transformed into bits of information.
And I wanted to be able to process the brain in one piece. We collect the brain and we store it here. And then the brain undergoes a very long processing that results in the final images. Because what we do here is actually we virtualize the actual human brain, and it becomes a collection of images at different levels of resolution and images created with different modalities.
The first step in the process is to obtain a brain right after a person dies. It's placed in a chemical solution and put in the cooler for about 8 weeks.
And this is where we actually physically slice the brains.
Then it has to be sliced up by a machine called a microtome.
The brain sits here on the stage, and everything is kept frozen by these industrial chillers. You know, we generally cut at an interval of 70 microns, which is 70 thousandths of a millimeter. So it's hair thin. So you have typically between 2,500 and 3,000 slices for one brain. So this is one of the slices from the brain.
The slices are placed on a glass slide, stained and digitally photographed. The images are so data rich, it would take 148,000 DVDs to store all of them for just one brain.
See, this is a blood vessel here.
What researchers can do with the information is truly amazing.
Thanks to the digitization, we can actually explore this particular section of the brain down to the level of the single cell. So just like Google Earth, when from the main image of a region you can zoom in and look at a single house, we're able to look at individual brain cells.
By having the entire brain digitized at this resolution, researchers may be able to detect subtle differences in how the brain is affected by different diseases. That appeals to Clinton Spangler. He's 83 years old, and he's planning to donate his brain to the observatory. Spangler suffers from a nerve disorder called essential tremor. He hopes scientists can find something in his brain that could help other people who share his affliction.
I think it's much better if it's put to some use for humanity rather than just being put in the ground.
Patrice Locke's mother, Peggy, passed away last October. Peggy's brain is now being digitized. Locke says her mom had some special qualities.
That you always have with you. Her soul, if you will, is now departed. Her physical self is a completely separate entity, and the fact that that can be used for some good, I think is wonderful.
The observatory doesn't just digitize people's brains. Staff also work with family members to store the life history of the donors. Jacopo Aneses says that information might become useful someday.
And now, who will be looking at your brain in 20 years? It could be a doctor, could be a neurologist, could be a student, could be an artist who wants to learn how to draw brain cells, or could be the next Michael Crichton who wants to write a thriller about the brain.
However it's used, Renee Farley is glad her older sister Diane's brain is at the observatory. She died after suffering from early onset Alzheimer's disease. Farley says in a sense, Diane is still around.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's what made it, such a thrill for us, is that she does live on. Her story's being told, and hopefully people will learn from her, and she's still here watching us.
Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.
March Madness is behind us, but a local college basketball team is still making headlines.
We unsealed an indictment charging 10 individuals with conspiring to operate an illegal gambling business.
A former star player and an assistant coach at USD were among those listed in the indictment. VoiceofSanDiego.org reporter Will Carless wanted to know, how exactly do college betting scams usually work? He's with us now to explain how it actually works. Welcome, Will. And I guess the main question is, I know the details are minimal at this point, but what can you tell us about the indictment?
Basically, what we know is that this was an investigation that had been done, or that was being done by the FBI. It was primarily a drug investigation. They were looking into a group of people who were buying and selling and transporting primarily marijuana. That then turned into an investigation of this alleged sports betting. Something happened during that investigation that tipped the investigators off to the fact that there was more to this than just the drugs, that there was also this sort of this scam that these guys were doing.
Who were involved exactly? Do we know the players?
We know so far I believe there's only one player that's been involved, and that is this guy Brandon Johnson, who was the former star player. He's the all-time top scorer at USD. He's by all accounts a fantastic player. One of possibly the best player to have played at USD in a very long time. There's also a former USD coach, and there's also these other guys who don't seem to be affiliated with the school in any way. They're just sort of rank-and-file criminals, basically, if they're found guilty.
If they're found guilty,
right.
Exactly. Now, you took an interesting approach to this story. You approached it with how sports betting scams typically work. What did you find out about this one?
Well, what I really did was I wanted to look at this and say, well, how is this done? I mean, they were claiming that this had happened, that this scam had taken place, but we couldn't actually find. They wouldn't tell us anything about how exactly this thing was organized. So I called a few gambling experts and said, if I want to do this, if I want to rig a basketball game, how do I do it? And they explained to me this system of point shaving, which is sort of traditionally how these scams are done.
And let's talk about that specifically. I've heard that around, point shaving. How can you point shave in a basketball game?
Well, as many of your viewers are probably familiar, what happens when you bet on a basketball game is you don't simply bet on whether one team's going to win and the other one's going to lose. Usually there's a stronger team, and so what the bookies do is they introduce a point spread system, which basically says I can vote on Team A beating Team B if Team A is a stronger team, but they'll say Team A has to win by 10 points. If you bet on Team A and they don't win by at least 10 points, then you don't win. So what a point shaving scheme does is that you work with a player on the team to ensure that the team wins but doesn't win by quite as much as it should win or it needs to win, and you bet against the team basically. So you work with a player who's on the team and you say, in my example, you can win, but you can't win by 10 points. We bet, the scammers bet that they're not going to win, and then they hopefully win the bet if everything works out well.
Yeah, we've heard that on different arenas before, but what about in college basketball? Is this very typical?
In college basketball, this has happened several times. It's been going on since the 50s, and there were a couple of big scandals. There was one up in Boston in the 70s. There was a big one at Arizona State in the late 90s, and college basketball seems to be particularly susceptible because, of course, the players aren't making any money, and this does involve bringing a player, usually a star player, on board, which usually involves bribing them, getting them involved. An NBA player, I mean, who's got the money to bribe an NBA player? I mean, they make so much money, but a college basketball player, usually not making much money, and the school is making a lot of money off them, so it's quite easy, I've been told, to sort of go and convince these athletes that they should get on board with one of these scams.
Well, we only have about a minute left, but here's a question I think we need to answer. So what is the risk? Why is this worthwhile for the players?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, you know, a lot of people would argue it's not worthwhile because you can end up going to prison. I mean, this young man, if he's found guilty, his career's basically over. But the sort of selling point to the players is, look, you can still win. You can still carry on your great career, your great college basketball career. You can still win and take your team to glory. You just don't have to win by as much as the bookies say you're going to win. So that can be quite attractive to a player, I'd imagine. It's like you can win, you can go ahead, but you can also make some money on the side. And that's how they've traditionally done it.
And it's a risk they take. Well, thank you very much, Will Carlos, Voice of San Diego. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
A mighty visitor from a bygone era of aviation graced the skies above San Diego this week. A B-17 Flying Fortress swooped in from World War II for a salute to veterans. KPBS video journalist Katie Ufrat gives us a bird's-eye view from the flight deck and introduces us to a special passenger.
Good airplane, and I'm just so happy that there are 12 of them still flying in the United States. And whenever one comes to San Diego, I make sure I go out there to look at it and just admire the airplane for what it is.
This is one of 57 tour stops that we make each year where we fly around the United States. It's called the VAA's Salute to Veterans Tour. And you know, we're losing our World War II veterans at a very high rate. And in a couple of years, they're all going to be gone. So we're looking at this as really our last opportunity to honor, you know, what they did during the war. You know, Brokaw said it best when he called them the generation that saved the world. They really did. And so we're out, you know, saluting them.
I was a pilot on a B-17, and I flew with the 96th Bomb Group in England, and got shot down on my 7th mission. It killed my co-pilot sitting in the seat next to me, and the 4 aft gunners bailed out. They presumably drowned because their bodies were never recovered. The 5 of us that landed in the water got into the life rafts, and we were about 4 hours in our life rafts. The Germans came out in a flying boat and landed beside us and said, "For you, the war is over." And I spent 16 months there as a prisoner of war.
We've got basically a 104-foot wingspan. It's about 75 feet long. We have 4 1,200 horse engines on the aircraft. Carried about 8,000 pounds of bombs, 10 crew members. They would send out 2, 3, 4, 500 of these in a formation, and they dropped their massive 8,000-pound bomb loads 2, 3, 4, 500 airplanes dropping 8,000 pounds. That's a lot of bombs.
It didn't kill me. It brought me a chance to survive the war and come home. So many of the airplanes just exploded in the air and no crew members got out. So I was fortunate. I just wish I could get in the pilot's seat again.
The Experimental Aircraft Association will bring the B-17 you just saw, as well as other World War II era planes, back to San Diego for the Wings Over Gillespie Air Show in June. It's a cloak and dagger story that reads like a Hollywood screenplay, filled with intrigue and a handsome leading man.
This painting is worth $100 million.
They shut off the air to drive out the tourists. Then they close the gates to keep everybody out. Diversion. Make a lot of noise over there. So over here in this room, you can take $100 million off the wall and waltz right out the front door.
Well, the Thomas Crown affair, it's not, but a San Diego art dealer is being called a hero for returning a valuable stolen photograph to authorities in the Czech Republic. KPBS arts reporter Angela Caron is here to tell us the story. And Angela, how did La Jolla's Joseph Bellows become involved in this international, intriguing, I have to say, stolen art case?
Well, Bellows owns a prominent gallery in La Jolla. He's an art dealer. And at the end of January, he received an email from a man in the Czech Republic who claimed to be in possession of this very rare, very valuable photograph from 1925 called The Wave. And it's an avant-garde nude, and it was made by a Czech photographer named František Dridikl, and he's very famous. And he asked Bellows if he would be interested in helping him sell the photograph or perhaps even in buying it.
Now, at first, Bellows didn't suspect anything was going on. When did he realize that there might have been a problem with this?
Well, early on, there was no indication that anything was wrong. And in fact, they had a series of email correspondences and even some phone conversations where nothing seemed unusual. Bellows learned things about the provenance of the photograph, which is really important. With an artwork, you want to establish its history of ownership to determine if it's authentic and determine its value. And in fact, this man made up this great story about the photograph's provenance. He said that it had been in his family for many years and that it was given to his grandfather by the artist, by Dridikl, as a trade for services. He said that his grandfather was a tailor and that, presumably he had made Dridikl a suit and Dridikl gave him The Wave as trade for services. So something right out of Antiques Roadshow, really.
Yeah, and a little bit of a con there, right? Like
Right.
You can't trace this verbal history
Exactly.
of the story. Well, we actually talked to him for a little bit. We can hear from him, right?
We talked to Bellows, and basically before we get to that point, though, we have to find out how he learned that it was a stolen photograph. And basically what happened was Bellows was doing research on The Wave, and he came across an article in a Prague newspaper that said that the very photograph that he had been negotiating with this seller was stolen off the wall of the Museum of Decorative Arts in Prague. Basically, the thief walked into the museum, he took it off the wall during open hours, took it off the wall, he cut it out of its frame, and he walked right out of the museum. And this was too much of a coincidence. It was a red flag for Joseph Bellows, and he knew that something was wrong. And when I talked to him earlier in the week, this is what he had to say about what happened next.
Once I did find out that the piece was stolen from the Prague Museum, and we ascertained that it was the identical print, I continued with the charade with the seller to convince him to send the piece to me in New York so that we could secure it and return it. And we were successful.
Now, we talked about a charade. What charade was he playing on this sort of with the person trying to sell it to him?
Well, he kept up the correspondence, as he said, and basically he was in New York and he sent him an email and he said, you know what, I'm in New York, I've just met this prominent collector, he's interested in buying the piece, will you send it to us so that we can make sure it's in, good condition and that it is truly authentic? And the thief bought it, and he packaged it all up in a FedEx box and drove to Vienna and shipped it to Bellows Hotel in New York, and they secured the photograph.
Wow, pretty impressive. Now, you said he actually found out about it. I'll have you say it. The day that the
Right. So what was unusual, one of the things that was unusual about this case is that he learned of the theft the very day that it happened. So this thief had been emailing Joseph and trying to find out if he was interested in buying it before he actually stole the piece, which was a smart move on his part, because a lot of thieves, when it comes to artwork, they tend to be petty thieves. They'll steal something and then they have this big valuable piece of art and they don't know what to do with it. But he actually made sure he had a market for it.
Yeah, actually pretty brazen as well. Do the police, have they caught the thief, and do they have...
No, they haven't caught him. They have a few leads. There was another opportunity to try and catch him, and unfortunately, the news broke in Prague that they had recovered the photograph, and a journalist broke the story before anything could actually happen, and all the communication between Bellows and the thief dried up. So unfortunately, they didn't catch him. That's where the Hollywood ending doesn't happen. But they at least have a few leads. They have all the email communication with Bellows, so they're working on it in the Prague
Well,
Police
at least we
Department.
got the photograph back. Thank you very much, Angela.
Thank you.
And here's Eric Anderson with an update on what KPBS is working on for next week.
Tune into KPBS Morning Edition on Monday to learn about local refugees who are happy to be paying taxes because they say it makes them feel like they belong. And on these days, last-minute tax tips.
Thanks, Eric. You can comment on any of the stories you saw tonight by going to our website at kpbs.org/SDWeek. We'd love to hear from you. And now, here's a look at your weekend weather forecast. Thanks for watching, and good night.